My kids are obsessed with BB Bop. I don't know why. Yeah. BB Bop. It's the place where they get the food from.
Yeah, these noodles, did you get any of the noodles?
Yeah, I guess I'm in
Oh, sorry. I'm talking about food. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Are you guys ready? Yay. All right, welcome to the October 13th Academy Lafayette Board of Directors meeting. Woo! I'll make my own cheers. Exactly. So we do have a really full agenda. Are we having a closed session? Did you talk about
I left a message.
Okay, all right. Then agenda stands as is. Okay, good. All right, so can I get approval of the agenda as it was presented to you? Or can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No stakeholder comments that I'm aware of. You had the September 8th meeting minutes in your board packet that you've reviewed. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We are going to start with governance, and Stephen, not to put you on the spot, but I'll ask you to come over here so that the owl can pick you up for those online.
Sure. Seat or just want me to stand?
Either way,
This is it.
however you want to.
All right, sorry, I talked for 25
And
minutes,
please
so
introduce yourself for anyone that doesn't know you.
Okay.
Stephen's on our governance committee, but there's more to him than that.
I'm on the governance committee. I'm a sixth grader at Imogen. My background is that I'm a lifelong educator. I taught for 25 years. I'm a JD EDD with an emphasis in civil rights and education law. And I am on the board of directors of the National Education Law Association. I was dumb enough to talk them into bringing our national conference here to Kansas City in a couple of weeks right after the streetcar opens. And so, so accompanying that here in maybe a couple of months, we're going to have a national expert panel on charter school law and governance from all over the country to do an update on the latest big, massive changes in education law, policy, and governance. I'll make sure, Michelle, that you know when that is, so that we can be a part of that. And so anyway, my work right now is that my wife and I do. We have a firm that does up-leveling college admission support and career application support for public schools. So we talk to a lot of superintendents, central offices around the state. I guess it would have been about a month ago, I was at the Greater Ozarks Cooperating School Districts Association, which was a meeting of about 65 superintendents from Southwest Missouri, and as part of that meeting, I was given a brief on what to expect in the next legislative session, which is why I was asked to come tonight. So if I can just give you a preview of what, this isn't just like stuff I found on the internet, this is the actual superintendents getting information from their actual state reps and state senators at the meeting, and it was important enough that we talked about that in the open session. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so, and I also am going to supplement that with some of the latest budget numbers that came out last Thursday on October 9th that have not quite hit the statewide media yet, but probably will be shortly. So, one of the things that happened that was very significant during the, I'll shorthand it to the gerrymandering session from from last month, was a bill that was introduced called HJR 5, House Joint Resolution 5, which did not pass, but the superintendents in Southwest Missouri were told by all of their state legislators this was going to be the #1 priority in the next coming session. And what this involved was a wholesale overhaul of the entire tax system in Missouri. Meaning, first, elimination of all personal property taxes. So I have no idea what that means for a KCPS or for a charter school, but in Southwest Missouri, that's about 30% of your total. They were also going to overhaul the way that real estate property values, or the way that real estate property is calculated, which means that possibly going to decrease revenue very significantly, and in order to make up those revenues, then you might end up seeing some things around the way that property taxes are valued at the county level. Maybe a thing that's been in the news a little bit here in Jackson County over the last couple of months, but that is also part of what's on the table. In addition, the HJR 5 established tax ceilings and caps for personal property taxes as well. And now part of what you may see in the media is that at a separate bill at the stadium tax special session that came up, the legislature passed property tax ceilings for certain jurisdictions, and that's going in front of a circuit court in front of Jefferson City, because, you know, the argument that similarly situated taxpayers in different jurisdictions, Missouri being taxed at different rates, so, you know, it may end up being that there's just like a blanket ceiling across Missouri at the valuation that you can tax your property at. It may get thrown out, we don't know, but just to kind of let you know, like, this is the kind of thinking that is going on in Jeff City. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Leads to questions about bonds, right? So if you're a state-approved entity like a school district, and you've already signed on to obligations for your bonds, with the assumption that you would, you know, be able to rely on your personal property taxes, all of those, you know, and all of those sorts of mechanisms. You know, how does that then affect your legal obligations or your revenue or your operating budget if you have these outstanding debt obligations, but with much more limited capacity in order to generate that revenue either at the state level or internally? What's that going to do to not only our ability to be able to pay off bonds, but our ability to get decent bond rates going into the future? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. What other fun stuff is in here? What's that? Yeah. There's a task force. That's been composed of 16 members that is being put together to be able to study all of this before the next legislative session, and charter schools are explicitly represented on that committee. So it's not just public schools, but it is also, there's also a charter school contingent as well. I think that's really the stuff that most concerns us right now that came out of this bill. Like I said, it was concerning enough to that group of superintendents sitting in a room that we had like a whole special session on it. And the information that we were given was like, this is going to be a priority. Now, because we've already seen it introduced through and kind of what trial ballooned in some of these special sessions. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So on Thursday, we got some numbers coming out of Jefferson City. And revenues are down, but then they're kind of back up. It's a little bit murky about where we are at, but here is the thing that we need to know. The headline was that Missouri Public Schools and Medicaid may need $1 billion more money to continue at current programs. So why is that? There's two main reasons. Number one is the expiration of the COVID dollars. Those dollars sat in accounts. They generated a lot of interest, and so like during the previous governor's administration, it was all, you know, we always heard, you know, like we're running surplus, we're running surplus, we're running surplus. That surplus was basically the COVID dollars that we didn't spend but put in the bank to generate interest. Does that make sense to everybody? So with this leads into point number two. With the elimination of the capital gains tax that went through in the last session, that is basically going to gobble up all of that savings and that interest earning almost immediately. Does everybody follow? Does that make sense to everybody? And the number, oh my goodness. What was, the official estimate for the capital gains exemption is a revenue reduction of approximately $157 million in the current fiscal year and $111 million annually on an ongoing basis, and those are the conservative estimates. So I can go a little bit deeper into like which families are paying that at what rate, but it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So I don't really. Oh, another thing that is going to significantly cut into the public school funding formula this next year is I'll just shorthand it and say the private school vouchers program, Missouri Scholars. That had been a $50 million pot of money that was donated into and administered by the state, but the donations came from private sources. So it created a tax exemption within the state. So if you wanted to donate to the private school vouchers fund, you could do that, get a tax break from the state, and then the state would just administer that $50 million. What happened during the last session was that they just made that $50 million public funds. So that $50 million has got to come from somewhere, and it's just now coming out of the general revenue. Okay, so that's kind of where we stand like right now, and I don't want to say too much else until like we get official news that comes out of Jefferson City, but I just thought it was important for everybody here to understand, like this is kind of the state of play in Jefferson City and what they have prioritized and what the official numbers are telling us right now.
And
Yeah.
if I add to this, that task force, Noah is one of the people on that task force, right? Is he on that
He
task
is.
force? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So Noah Devine, who is the head of the Missouri Charter Public School Association. And then secondly, I mentioned Stephen is on our governance committee, and so he gives us legislative updates each month at the governance committee meeting. So we will be
Right.
getting updates, as you know. Then sometimes in between,
Yeah.
we'll be getting updates as he knows them.
Yeah. So like part of that that task force is rural superintendents, business leaders from all over the state. And I do think that I've done some work with School Smart on charter school governance, or like what those models look like. Charter schools fit in a very like kind of weird and unique position within the educational landscape, because we are an alternative to the traditional district schools, right? And that sometimes fits you within the education reform movement, which puts you kind of in the school choice vouchers lane, So but sometimes that doesn't always fit the needs of Academy Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like to me, like every time I see stuff that comes out of the state association, I'm like, there's Team Charter School and then there's Team Academy Lafayette, and those interests don't always map onto each other, if that makes sense.
No,
So-
why?
What's that?
Well, I don't understand why.
So for instance, I'll take the vouchers program. From my point of view, right? The vouchers program is $50 million that is moving from private funds into public funds. Next year, we're forecasting a shortfall of $42 million in public school transportation across the state. On Thursday,
As a result of that transfer?
Not as a result of the transfer, but like the overall pot of money that we have to choose from is going to be $50 million less than what it was. And we've got all of these shortfalls that are going to have to be made up, especially when you're talking about capital gains tax and stuff like that. And on Thursday, I don't know if you read in the Kansas City Star, but there was a lengthy article, by the president of the Missouri Charter Schools Association that featured Academy Lafayette in the first 3 paragraphs. And in the middle of that article, he for my mind, endorsed private school vouchers. He said parents have a right to choose whether they're public, private, or charter. And I read that and I was like, I'm not real sure that's the team that we need to play on, especially when you're in an urban charter school like that, and some of our main competition is private schools, right? So that's why, from a policy perspective, in my view, they don't always map. They don't always map 1-to-1, especially when you're the biggest and most scaled charter school in the city.
So I just give us a lot of information. I'm not a specialist. So the top line is essentially you're saying that next year, for a whole variety of reasons, we should expect substantial decrease in the amount of money the state spends on education?
Yeah, unless there's a big movement that stops it in the next legislature, which is something that we have
Which
seen
could
in
happen.
the past couple of legislative sessions, because there's not just there's not a 50% coalition in the legislature all the time about what happens with school policy. And so we have seen some of the deepest cuts that you might have seen in states like Florida and Texas. We haven't had those here in Missouri. A lot of this plan that I saw right here, like in Southwest Missouri, they were like, this is crazy. Like, why are we doing this? And I immediately clocked it. I'm like, oh, I've been through this. This is Kansas 2014.
Yeah, that's
Right? Like, that's what happened in Johnson County. Like, I remember that. And it's, it comes from a lot of the same sources, Laffer Curve and all of that. So,
Yeah.
but,
And so that affects not just the urban areas, but has also an effect in the Ozark, the rural areas.
Yeah, I mean,
or is it, or is it
yeah. So
transfer?
that was the major concern, because I was in Southwest Missouri, right? You're talking about, districts that are 1A, 2A, 3A size. This has the potential to devastate them more than anything else. And in fact, one of the talking points here that they talked about was the legislature is going to take up school consolidation. So, so like once you start talking about consolidating rural districts, you're talking about greatly increasing the high school graduate rate. When I was in law school at University of Kansas, my senator was the chair. She was the minority chair of this of the Kansas Senate Education Committee, and the way that they negotiated with her all the time was threatening to consolidate school districts within her district because she knew that killed the towns.
Yeah.
So, to me, it feels like this is actually, and what the superintendents I talked to said, this is potentially worse for rural districts than urban districts because we have a little bit, bigger, tax base to be able to draw from. Will probably be fine, but yeah, there is new and more radical thinking going on in Jeff City than what we've seen.
So are there neighboring states that do consolidation?
Oh, do rural consolidation?
Rural consolidation.
So the state that I'm most familiar with is in Kansas because that was where I worked, and they went through a lot of rounds of consolidation through 2014 to 2018. You don't see that as much now, but that's because they completely changed their tax structure after the last Republican governor left office. So you can go through a state like in western Kansas, a county of 6,000 people can have 3 school districts because of the sheer size of the district. So their per pupil spending ends up being a lot larger than what you would see here in Missouri. But it's not necessarily because that money is going into classroom, that money is going into diesel fuel on gravel roads.
And so my last question is,
Yeah.
what portion of our revenue is affected? I mean, what is state versus local? Are we talking like 100% of our revenue, or is it like?
So
Yes.
that is, go ahead, Michelle.
Well, aren't the estimates like 30%?
This is from the state, 30% is from the state.
Well, yeah, and then with charter school funding, there are like different bags of
Right.
money all over
Yeah.
the place. Like there's a portion of the city sales tax
Right,
that goes
that's all I
especially to
see.
charter school teachers. So yeah, so I don't know what those numbers are. I hope that our representatives on the board of 16 are on top of that so that we don't end up in a glitch situation like we had encountered a few years ago.
But I think the thing if it passes,
Yeah.
that we can't expect is then it would be a change to the negative for us in the funding formula.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I mean, which-
I don't really see a way around that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and which, okay. Any other questions for him while we have him?
Not that.
And we can-
Stephen, like, where did we budget? I know we had revenue, and I thought we were conservative, but were we at the level that we were getting today? Because I think initially.
We're gonna get into
budgeted
that.
Last
Yeah.
year was a number, and then we got
Went
more
up.
than that.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if we budgeted
Yeah, so we budgeted at 13,500 per WADA, and currently we're being paid on 14,500, so about $1,000 more than what we budgeted for.
Which is, makes me feel
Yeah,
good because,
yeah.
like you said, we go to the negative then.
Yeah.
We already do kind of like the, depending on what they come up with is where we need to tighten more around.
All right. Any other questions
Yeah.
for that, Stephen?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to take up so much.
No, this is good.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, very good.
All right,
Okay,
thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Everybody.
I don't know why we're applauding this news.
I really mean that as a teacher, I know that like coming to board meetings is an enormous, like, it's a huge lift, so thank you.
Thank you so much. What a great segue into finance. Well, and, I mean, just before you go into this, there are long-term effects, obviously, of this happening. We've got a nice reserve, but it also tells us what do we need to be conservative with, so.
Yeah.
All right, your show. Well,
Yeah, I think you may have moved the mouse and I can't put it forward. There we go, thank you. Okay, accounts payable, just some highlights here. First one there is Grand River renovations. Paid them $41,000 in September. Part of that was the Oak soccer field fence. If you've seen the soccer field fence over there at Oak, it was $38,000. We also paid them for some transportation center installations, which included an ADA ramp. So some ADA access there needed to be done. Next one down is Mid-America Golf and Landscape. Paid them $154,462, and that was the final portion of the turf fields for Cherry and Oak. Next one there is New Bill Roofing. We paid them $504,370, and that was for the Oak roof. And again, this isn't Nathaniel Newbill's company. Just want to make sure we're clear on that. It's not his company. Different company. And then last one there is Newkirk Novak Construction Partners, $65,890 for the Cherry classroom office renovations that were completed over the summer. Next slide here is some MAP testing. So NWEA, we paid them just under $30,000 for annual MAP testing supplies and the actual testing materials. PM Contracting paid them $11,208 for some Cherry plumbing repairs. They were getting some hot water into some cold water, so they had some kind of backflow issues there, so they had to repair that. SG Triplet Construction, that's Trips Lawn Care, we paid them $30,000. Part of that was for their monthly mowing and spraying, but then they also completed painting, transportation center window installation, and then additional transportation flooring, and then they had to do some sister joints in the basement or the crawl space of the transportation center. So paid them for a lot of things during September. And then SSI Furnishings, we paid $10,519, and that was for this building, the Armor building, course risers and music stands. And last one is the TransFinder Corporation. That's the transportation annual GPS subscription, so $11,400. So there's some highlights there on the accounts payable file that went around. Any additional questions over the AP transactions or those highlights?
My only question was from the plumbing one, plumbing repairs. Was it a mistake that they had made and had to go back and correct, or was it just something that had been like deferred maintenance type of thing, or is it?
I don't know if it's deferred maintenance, but it was just something that came up.
Okay.
It was hot
Just
water.
maintenance.
It was hot water in the urinal, which was just strange. So I don't know something. I don't know
Yeah.
where it got disconnected. It may have been at the hot water heater itself. So good question, but we can also follow up with Director of Operations and let you know that.
Yeah, it seems like a crazy thing to just
Yeah.
happen.
all right, can I get a motion to approve the September 2025 accounts payable transactions?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, finance report. So just from a very high level, August, we're still not through the first quarter of financials yet, but from a cash in, cash out perspective, the school spent more than received during August by $130,000. And then if you're looking at that year-to-date YTD, 1.3, we spent more than we received. And so that's kind of in the middle of the screen there. And you see that we're in the red year-to-date. If you compare that to last year, that's what's on the right-hand side. So July, we had spent $280,000 in the red last year, and year-to-date by August, we were about $216,000 in the red. So that 1.1 million difference from last year to this year, we could explain that at least in these three noted transactions here. So like we mentioned last month, we purchased some vans in July, almost $100,000. Also in July, we completed the payment for the cherry roof that was done over the summer, $658,000. And then those turf fields that we paid for in August was almost $600,000. So 1.1 million in some cash flow timing differences. Essentially, we're waiting to be reimbursed on those GO bonds money. Something else that we talked about too in the finance committee is just we talked about the revenues of being where we budgeted $13,500, but we're being paid on $14,500, and we're updating that with the new enrollment numbers for next financial set. So we'll have a projection done for the next financial. So
What's the minimum time for the reimbursement for the GO bond?
it's this slide.
Good segue. I need this.
Fantastic sales. So the bond project, so we're estimated to be reimbursed in December. The reason why it's highlighted, in previous months we were reporting that would be November, but they don't close on the bond until November 4th, and then there's another delay where it has to be issued to Kansas City, and it has to go through Kansas City's board meeting of approval to be dispersed, and so they're estimating early December when those monies will come back to us. Talked about the cherry roof. We paid $658,000. It came in $350 under budget. The oak roof, we paid the bid essentially $504,370. The turf projects, we paid $597. The total bid was $576, but there were change orders of $21,000. And then this next one down is one that's coming up. An RFP was just done and completed last week. So the Cherry Auditorium, we're looking at installing HVAC there. It doesn't have any air in there. It has heat, but does not have any air conditioning in that auditorium. There's two bids that came back. One at $100,702, and then another one at $86,500. So we will need to have the board approve that project pending the verification of this vendor that was at $86,500, because we have not verified that vendor yet.
So there were two bids for this project?
Pardon me, two bids for this project. One was PM contracting, and the other one was to building something. I can't remember the last word in that vendor's name.
Is that a rule to get two bids for a big project? I thought I need three.
Well, we went out for sealed bids, and those were the only ones that came back.
Okay.
What's the timeline for the bid approval or for this approval of the contract or selection?
The selection we should typically go with the lower of the one, and that's what we need to verify. And really, we should get that done in the next less than 30 days, just so that it can get started on the project. One thing to note is when we were submitting our projects to KCPS for the $13.6 million that we were allocated, we had identified $500,000 in HVAC costs, and so this $86,000 fits within the combined cherry and oak. Now, the oak project will cost probably more than $400,000, and so we'll probably have to either inject some of our own cash or go out for our own tax exempt bonds.
Because we can't repurpose money within the 30.6 million.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we can repurpose it, like if we come in lower on the gymnasium, we can repurpose that to the 2 other campuses.
Do we know the 2 companies who have submitted bids, like, have we worked with them before?
PM Contracting, the other one we haven't. The one that came in at 86,000, we've not worked with before, so that's why we need to verify that.
2 building solutions.
That's it? You heard of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have the RFP saved somewhere?
Yes, and we can make those available.
Because I saw them like referencing, or PM was just referencing the RFP, so.
But we will need board approval to proceed with this project, with the HVAC project.
Even before we approve the,
Yeah, with a
vendor.
qualifier, I think, of pending
Okay.
verification.
okay. Can I get a motion to approve proceeding with this project pending verification of which bid and which vendor we approve?
So,
All right.
A second?
Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, oh, can you move? Are you moving stuff?
I can
Okay,
move.
good, okay. Pam, you want to do the development committee?
Yes, Ally is not feeling well tonight, so I am giving the development report. She's so great. I don't know what we do without her. Anyway, the cash raffle update is $75,089.
Wow.
We have 11 days to go, so our goal of 100,000, we could very well surpass.
Yes.
That's what I like. Thank you to all the volunteers who made it seamless to kick off successfully. And special thanks to Laura Myers and Susan Brashears, who helped stuff 1,440 raffle envelopes and distribute flyers across town. It's great.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right, performance committee report.
Well, MBank is gonna actually give that, but we did meet on September 30th, 2025. And then I'm kicking it back to the superintendent.
All right, we're ready. Perfect timing.
Sorry, I was too opening for Dana. She sent me a text message. She'll be here. Good. So we're gonna go look at the enrollment and demographics. And then, of course, student retention and teacher retention. So what, this is the trend we worked on. Remember, we had a projection and a projected goal. I took it out, but what you can see here is, oops, what do you do? I'm trying to use the whatever, the pointer. You see that it didn't go down here. We have a little bit of dip in the minority here. So we need to think about what we need to do to get back on track. All the other years we have been doing a good job, but not this year. I think it's a combination of enrollment and attrition for minority too, especially black students. Let's see.
Sorry.
Yes.
Do we know other schools, like, are there other trends, or do you know where they're going, or anything along those lines?
Yes. There have been. We tried to track where the kids were going. I don't have it here with me, but for the enrollment, we know the school they were going, especially those who did not end up coming with us. So maybe I can do a report and send it to you after.
And does that include high school?
High school is less impacted.
I just wasn't sure if those numbers are included.
Yeah, yes, oh, yes, everyone, it's a K-12. It's K-12. This is our IEP and language learners here. So I see our numbers of, the red one is English language learners, going up. The IEP is stable, 7 point something. Just to give you a sense of perspective is, we have been to 8% over there, and there's also 20 other students are in the pipeline for testing. In December, we'll have another 20, so which means there's gonna be more than 8% by the end of November. What we've noticed by the end of December, what we've noticed is there's an uptick of more severe cases for IEP for students with disability, more autistic cases. So which prompted us to we hired an additional special education teacher a few weeks ago, because we have more cases that required more assistance.
Was that replacement or addition?
Addition.
That's great.
Addition. So a few years ago, when I started here, our population of students with disability was 3%. Back then, we had only one teacher who was not really full-time, and one half-time speech, and one paraprofessional for 2 buildings. Today, every building has almost double that. Every building has a minimum of 2 full-time, 1 speech, and paraprofessionals, at least 2.
Does that have other impacts besides just having to have that staff member or paying for, or are there other things, correlations you're seeing with that?
Correlation, the good thing is we hired also for the last 2 years, we really reinforced our student assistant area. We hired now, every building has a social worker and a behavior interventionist and a reading interventionist. So in French and English, unfortunately, we were not able at Cherry to find an English reading specialist. We made multiple offers, but we turned down. At Oak, we have the contrary. We have the English one, but we cannot find the French one. Hopefully by the end of the year, or by next year, we'll have fully staffed for a reading interventionist, one in French and in English. But this year, we added social work for both buildings, and both buildings have a behavior interventionist. And also, if you look at also ELL, English language art, English language learners was very low. Now, years ago when I started, we had 0 teacher. We don't have a teacher for ELL teacher. And then we hire one teacher for the whole thing. Now we have 1 teacher for each building as 1 ELL teacher. So which means that our demographic was, we wanted, by the way, part of our strategic plan was to reflect the diversity of Kansas City. That's what we wanted to be. But here again, coming back here, remember back then it was 62%, 37, even worse than that, because if you go back 2 years before, 2016, it was 65, 35. So we're trying to close that, and we have an issue this year. Probably we need to get back on track. As you know, success does not come on straight line. It's a zigzag. Sometimes we come down and go back. So what's important is we be serious about getting back on track. So, I need to move 3 things. Where have you? Okay, This is K5 retention rate. So, you have the K5 and you have by ethnicity. What you can see here, there's a bigger dip in the African American and Black students, and it's mainly at the Oak campus that we have more attrition for the Black students. We have a little bit more attrition also at Oak, Cherry, but it's more pronounced at Oak. That's what we're trying to analyze and see what's the issue. You can see, as I said, a very strong, the last 2 years, the Hispanic retention has been very strong. Last year was 98%, 97%. And population is a little bit increasing too. But the retention rate is very strong. For the American Indian, it's very I mean, almost insignificant population, so I'm saying you talk about 2 or 3 students, it does not really show a lot. But, yeah. This is a K-8, because you're looking at the K-8. The middle school retention rate is strong. I'm talking about 6th and 7th grade. 8th grade is something else, but they're leaving, going to high school somewhere else. But last year 6th and 7th grade were at 95.4, and then the black students 90%. 96 you see, so you see the Hispanic is very strong, multiracial and white. Okay, this is the middle school, by the way. It's not K5, it's middle school. The real K8 is here. K8, 92%. Remember, the elementaries were lower, and the highest middle school is higher. So where we are at 81%, and mainly for black students is at the elementary school level, and especially at kindergarten, first grade, it's where we lost a lot of kids coming and leaving. Hispanic, as I said, is stronger. This is a high school retention rate, just as last year's 9th grades, 10th grade, 11th grade for the retention rate. And mainly what we lost mainly was students coming from other schools, coming into our high school and leaving after. That's where we have more of the restriction here, not the students who came from our own schools. And as you know, also the high school has a higher percentage of minority than Caucasian. It's I think 54% minority. That's what we have in the high school. This is the K-12. K-12 is where we are. Our goal is to get back to 95%, especially in the K-8 level. That's what we had last year. Last school year, this time, we were at a 95% retention rate, especially elementary school was very strong. We were at 95%. This year there are more attrition than last year. So this is by buildings. You can see there's high attrition rate at Oak. And then the highest, of course, retention rate is the Arvon middle school.
How is it counted, the outgoing 8th graders going into 9th grade? Is that retention counted in high school or middle school, or is it just?
No, we don't factor in them inside.
It's a go between them.
Yeah, because generally what we have there is 30. This year we have 35% stay.
Okay.
So our goal is got to 50%. So we have a bigger 9th grade than the year before. Because the year before was 25, 24, now we are at 35 at this point. So our goal is get to 50 students.
That's really good news.
Well, I'll take it year by year, but that's good news.
Really? It's big.
Yeah, it's very good. It's good. I mean, I think once we get to
It'll get better.
to 50, and then we're having teams now. We have a soccer team, and then our junior blue style also was successful for volleyball. So we're doing well. So again, generally our own students who came to our high school, they tend to stay. But students from outside is where we have some mobility issues.
Are we replacing students as they leave, or?
So depending on the cup, because if once the cup is set, yes, we have to replace them. We cannot ignore them. So, and of course, that's some concern with our teaching team, because you may have kids who come from other schools who is 2 years behind or significant behind that need to be supported. But again, for me, that's how we measure also our progress. How we can support those kids and stay with us and make them graduate.
Yeah.
And that'd be great.
Mr. Gunn, what do you think your assumption is on the K through 1, that attrition? What's driving that attrition?
Well, we historically, generally, we've had issue between first grade and second grade. Mm-hmm. Because the reading, parents start panicking, oh, my kids are reading or something like that.
Got it.
But last school year, I mean, not last school year, but this time last year was really good.
Yeah.
We have a 95 retention rate, all those grades. This year, it went down.
Yeah.
So we're trying to analyze why we're losing that. Because unfortunately, kids come in the year and then leave in the year, so we have to calculate everybody leaving during the year and in the summer.
Got it.
But again, that's a concern that we need to address.
Yeah.
So,
Keeping
And
track
we talked
of the
about doing the
exit
exit survey. Yes.
yeah, the exit interview exists, but what we're doing with the department, with the admission department and at the building level to call every parent to know why they left.
But your principals they're not hearing concerns from these parents in those grade levels before they leave. Like, we don't have indicators of what those reasons are before we do an exit survey yet? On why they're leaving?
Pardon, what do you say?
Is there any indication before they leave for the reason
Like to the
they may
leadership, the principals, anything like that?
I cannot speculate on that because people leave for different reasons.
Yeah.
Sometimes relocation, academic issues,
Yeah.
or behavior, or school culture, or different things. Every case is different. That's why calling each of them,
Yeah.
and then where they go and where we go. And understand also, our school, as you said, one of our big competition is private schools. Some of the kids we may lose they go to generally private schools.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to think that way, that our competitors, how do we address that? But again, in kindergarten first and second grade, one of the big concerns is the academic part. Parents think that their kids are failing, and which means that there should be a better job in explaining bilingual school, how kids move. In any case, our school is outperformed the suburb in English language art, in reading anyway. But people, of course, when the first early years, can panic and say, my job. Another issue also we have for attrition this year is between 5th grade and 6th grade. Last year, this year, that's what, and that has been the trend. A transition grade between 5th grade and 6th grade, and between 8th grade and 9th grade. So it used to be strong, 6 to 8, because of the French trip people will stay. But then also you had a strong 5th to 6th because the 6th grade trip to France moved to 7th grade, but now you have a stronger also 7th grade retention.
Yeah.
What you've seen is better retention for 8th grade these last 2 years. Because in the past, what we've seen in 8th grade, after 7th grade, kids used to go to some other middle school to be able to get to a high school, like Lincoln Middle School to get to Lincoln High School. That's what we used to see in the past, or go to a private middle school to be able to get to high school. But not this year and last year, we have more retention from 7th to 8th grade and from 6th to 7th grade. At this point, the issue is from 5th grade to 7th grade, which used to be strong prior to moving the trip to France. So I said, that's what we see here, strong retention rate, middle school in Cherry, and low retention rate at Oak, low retention rate for black students in elementary school, very high retention for Hispanic kids. We are at 8% at this point for Hispanic students. So this increase, by the way, I took out the free and reduced because I'm starting to verify it. They could give me a number. You see the number I put those on 29%, but I still have doubt that needs to be verified. That's why I don't want to project it here.
Yep.
Because our issue is free and reduced is parents may fill in the application without putting their salary. And if they don't put the salary, they may be counted like full free. And those things need to be audited before we present it. That's why I put it there first, and I said, after talking to Diane today, I said, I'm not gonna present it until I have a confirmation, but once I have it, I'll share with you what we have.
We brought up something earlier that was about the K-1, possibly 2, parents feel their kids are failing. So, is that they're looking at, they test those things?
They can't read in
It's
English.
usually the readings.
Yeah, they can read in English, and we do the NWA, of course, and then you will see the rate of kids this year, this fall, second grade, that's the rest test we took it. They had 60% of them being at a normal grade level this fall. But you know, some parents may panic or no, especially in going from first grade, and they have cousins who's reading and in English they may be panicking, something like that. But it's not only that. We need to go and see. It may be, as I say, school environment. It may be relocation. But that's mainly what the issue we've had. See? Yeah, it's getting English language learners increase. I say it also shows how many ELL teachers we hired at this point. Any other questions? Oh, no, I'm here. The teacher attrition is part of our strategic plan. Our strategic plan, what we want is get to 90% of teacher retention in 2028. So the goals, we went from 80% to 88% for retention. Our goal was 86%. So I did not change the goals, just like I did before for the academic part too. I left those goals as they are. That's where we want to be, at 90%. Especially now with all these visa issues that I'll talk about. If we can keep our teachers, it would be good. And this is my buildings. For our district, I'll see we have progressions from 80% to 88%, and then by building. And the highest retention is the middle school this year, 100%. We didn't lose, that's unheard of. We don't lose any teacher in the middle school. And it's very good because, again, you invest on training for IB. I mean, if you lose them, that becomes more problematic. So high school also is high, so you have 91% retention. It's also the same thing for retention. So any question about all the presentation or anything in general?
This maybe goes into one of the next topics too, but do you look at retention from the lens of where they're here from, or
where they're?
Like, hey, our Senegalese teachers, we have a higher retention than those from France or anything like that. Is that a lens you've looked at?
No, we have not. We have not done that. We have not done that. Or local teachers, because one of the issues we have is, in terms of retention, is local teachers moving around. Yeah, it's generally a foreign teacher leaving back, either we did not renew it, or it's a visa issue, or they're going back to their country of origin.
Right.
But we rarely lose a foreign teacher to another school inside the United States. And now that also, we have also another program, which is the Jules Verne program. At this point, we have 1 or 2 teachers, I think. But those teachers cannot stay more than 2 years. After 2 years, they have to go back to France. Yeah.
So on the student retention rate, there's the numbers are obviously not great this year. I think you're looking at a whole bunch of analysis to understand what could be the issue. Are we having a follow-up session at the board level to discuss the findings on what's happening, the reason why we're seeing those numbers this year?
So probably we can add it to our next board meeting, and then so that we can share whatever.
Yeah, that would be great.
We can do that. And also our next district performance committee, because I've had a lot of issues making sure I have reliable data on everything. Because with the changes in student information system and not having, we now have somebody at the IT department dealing with that, a month ago maybe or less. But it has been extremely difficult to make sure we have all these data and share them in a timely manner. But that's something, of course, we need to put at our next meeting.
Is your question, Olivia, related to the teachers or students?
I think it's mostly the students.
Okay, that was
like those rates that have been dipping this year, and based on our model, we really can't attract students from other districts after first grade. If we start losing 8% a year, it becomes we jeopardize the whole model of the school. So I think we really need to understand, what's happening is the 1 year issue, and obviously if there's anything we can do to address those retention, try to bring them back to the 95% plus that we need.
I know we talked about that in our committee, but I'm not sure if by next month you're going to actually have those numbers. Because I know when we were asking about it, it was, while there is an exit survey to understand why students are leaving, because it's not required, parents don't necessarily provide that information. So my thought is that even if you were to provide some numbers by next month, it's not going to be accurate because you don't have every parent, not even the majority of parents who are providing that information. So that's what we were saying, if we can start to make it required when they leave, so we can have more accurate data. And if I'm wrong on what our conversation was, but I don't think.
Yes, but the other thing also we talked about is calling those parents one by one to get it done, and preferably having a third party doing that.
Yeah.
Do it so that we know.
I just want to be realistic with this term of next month, you're getting that information.
Well, if it's a progress report.
Okay.
So, but you have been, buildings have started doing that, by the way. Social workers, we ask them to try to call them and then figure it out. And also the admissions department to figure it out. So I will know probably tomorrow at our meeting where we are. And then if we're ready to share whatever we have, I'll share them. And then what kind of a plan we're putting together to make sure.
Can you make it required for them to fill that out? Like, do you hold records until they?
I need to check whether
I would like to try it.
Can you do that? Like, can you do that, Dana?
What is it, can you do?
Can you require parents to fill out exit data, like an exit interview, before they get their child's records transferred?
Absolutely not.
Yep.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so
I like how you think, so what I've seen schools do, not about something like this, but they said, you need to do this before we send the record. And so people are like, but you have a requirement 3 days after you request to send it to the school, so you can't hold up this.
Okay. So you can put that wording in, hope that more people do it, yeah.
So we can enforce it,
But we can also kind of follow up and have more of an intentional process to make it a part, empower parents, give them a voice as to why you're leaving, and so it could be more positive uplift to get them.
Right. Yeah. Help us, help you.
So the next one is my report. So here, the recognition of Cherry, the building is recognition of all the building leadership team. So for you to understand, building leadership team is a team that help the principal in the management of the building. They meet twice a month, every other week, and to discuss what's going on in the building, safety, academic, anything, culture, student behavior, and then try to resolve it. So it's composed of one teacher per grade level. So we have, and then we have support teachers, the building manager, you have there, Danielle, and we have also the social worker, also is part of the building leadership team. And the principal and vice principal, of course.
It's a great place to take a picture. It's a great shot.
Here is a recognition. We went to Colombia with Madam Rowan, Sheila Rowan, to take the awards of for Oak ALL Exceptional Student Growth for the last 3 years. So we're recognizing Madam Sheila Rowan and all the Oak English teachers because it's an effort. Understand also that the English teacher did a great job, but also the French teacher because it's transferring with the language, so he is transferring to the English. So it's a way to recognize all the team.
Right.
For ARMA is muchas gracias to Dr. Artidillo, Cesar Gillespie, and we have also Diego. So this is the Spanish Heritage Month celebration. So it was from 6th grade to 12th grade students and staff with amazing performances, presentations, comidas, food, delicious, is sharing. So here we have the English, the Spanish teacher for high school, the Spanish teacher for middle school, and the music teacher instrumental music teacher that we have there. They did a great job, delicious food, amazing celebration month. Thank you.
That's great.
So October, of course, is Bullying Aware Month. We will do the survey, October and November. We always, every year, we do a bullying survey for our kids. We also get the professional development. The 9s, all teachers went to other schools. Every year, we send our teachers to go to other schools to observe what's going on, to learn about it. And the next day was 2 days. The next day was working on their classroom dashboard data, making sure they have all the dashboard data ready. So we also went to the MCPSA conference, Missouri Charter Public School Conference in St. Louis. Was really good. I had the honor of presenting our story, our Academy Lafayette story and our journey. It was a good one.
Very good.
So we always do.
We saw it in action. Yeah, it's very good.
Okay. Thank you very much. Principal's coffee, and then the NWA testing was completed. One thing I want to say also about NWA, we will probably very likely change the testing company, because NWA is, until today, as of today, is no longer in partnership with DESE for the reading test K2, K3. Because there's a required reading assessment K3, but looks like they don't have an agreement now. So DESE gave us 1 more year this year to use NWA. Unless they get back together to a partnership, we are thinking of using either iReady or STARS. So that's what we're looking at.
Which one are you thinking of using?
iReady is another test, iReady or STAR. So we're in the process of looking into that, and hopefully by December we'll make a decision and move forward. So after school club started, Conseil d'École will be on the 23rd, and parent-teacher conference is on the October 30th and 31st.
And just going back to if you switch from NWEA to one of those others, it's still like testing the same types of things and the progression.
Yeah, yes, but unfortunately, the continuity, but we can still say, we should be able to know what is in the NWEA percentage of kids who score at the average or no, nationwide. But I've heard really great things about iReady too, really great things about iReady. That's what you use?
So how many times a year do you test?
Generally, we test twice in the fall and spring, but elementary school, they test three times, fall, winter, and spring. So for the operation now, Oak has a new and nice soccer goals. I think it's becoming a really great. Somebody asked a question last board meeting about the goal. Is it you?
It was me,
Oh,
yeah, that's all.
You saw
They
them?
look very good, yes.
That's great.
I'll pick up that after.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I keep track of it.
And we have two bands that have signage. One of them took our kids to go and visit some colleges. So I was training, and then request for qualification has been posted for the HVAC and windows no, not posted yet for Oak, because we need to discuss it, because there are certain things that we need to look at. And then we also I asked the operation department, the operations department, to provide a backward timeline so that when we want to start the gymnasium or the Oak windows and HVAC, when do we need to start, what do we need to do? It's going to be extremely challenging for the HVAC at Oak especially, because we have 2 months. We have to decide whether we're going to do it in 2 summers, start with one level and then come back. Because I'm afraid that if we want to do everything, we may have a problem opening the school. So we're going to look at what is possible to do now for the Oak building. So there's also another request for qualification for cleaning companies to look at what needs to be done.
So is the timeline, was that not already in the HVAC with the bids?
So that one's the Oak.
So
The one
the
that we
bids
were
we got were for Cherry.
Were for Cherry.
Okay.
The Cherry Auditorium, just the auditorium.
HVAC only for auditorium?
Correct.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, because Cherry, the only issue is the auditorium they have. Oak doesn't have that central air conditioning, so it's more complex.
10 years ago, it was looked at to have done, but it wasn't in the budget back then.
Yes.
And we're going to do the windows before the HVAC, presumably?
Yes. Windows and HVAC, they should go together anyway, I think.
Are we unhappy with the cleaning company, or is this just a
Well,
regular?
that's what Rick proposed here. He's looking into other.
The cleaning company did raise the rates, and that will take effect in September. It's not much, and we haven't talked about it in finance yet, just because we haven't seen the impact of it.
Yeah,
And we can talk about that next finance meeting too.
okay.
Do you have?
Just to ask you, do you want to give an update on the visa news?
Oh. How come it's not there?
See how I flipped this
Thank you so much.
president report to you? But yeah, just
Okay.
that.
I don't know if we talked about the H-1B visas last time?
No, because the
They
news.
came out, they came out.
Yeah.
Okay. As you know,
We've talked
the
about it.
president took a executive order decision to charge $100,000 per visa on an annual basis for H-1B. $100,000. Okay. If you have 10,
Eliminates a lot of.
if you have 10 visas, it's $1 million for visa. Meaning we're going from paying $3,000 to $100,000.
Yeah.
In fact, the $3,000 is for the if you do expedited.
Expedited, yeah.
But if you do the normal one, it's $1,500. So around that. So it's going to $100,000. So there's a whole discussion now. I contacted the association, we have discussion, and then also DESI. And then we had a meeting with the National Association of Charter Schools to see how they can lobby and make sure that institution of education do not suffer with that, because universities, and there's, I think, around 3,000 at least bilingual schools in the country, and finding teachers would be tough. Probably the government may not understand that. For us, hiring a local teacher is better than hiring an H-1B teacher, because you have to pay anyway the prevailing wage, which is at least a level 10 of our salary metrics. You have to pay that. So a local teacher, they may be at 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and maybe generally. And then on top of that, we pay relocation fees, relocation stipend, and we pay $3,000 minimum for expedited and $3,000 to the lawyer. So about $6,000 just for visa, plus how much is it? $1,800 for relocation if they have family? So $3,000 it's for themselves. So which means that to bring a foreign teacher, it costs $9,000. Okay? On top of paying them prevailing wage. That's why our school is extremely. So we hope that explaining that would be helpful to get an exemption for schools. So.
$100,000?
$100,000. Yes.
It's been,
So the belief is it's really targeted toward tech companies hiring and, but obviously it has impact beyond that. But you also said we don't really see the impact. I mean, we've got until like April, really.
So because we are different. We need to also understand for Apple or Microsoft, they can only bring people here in April. Why? Because there's a cap in the number of H-1B that can come to the country. It's 65,000. So, and then the season opened April 1st. And on April 1st, immigration will receive 300,000 applications for 65,000 visa. So what they do is a lottery. So if we didn't have, because we have a sponsor, a university sponsor, we're not tied to that cap. We can bring H-1B at any time of the year. Otherwise, I run a private school in Portland. We were not tied to a university, but that's what I had to do. I make sure that I align everything. April 1st, I apply like everybody, and then I apply for 3 teachers. I'm lucky, one won the lottery, and I have one out of, and then the other 2 have to go home. That's how it worked. I mean, but here, because of the work with the university, it's helpful for us. So I'm sure universities will have the same issue now because they bring teachers, foreign teachers. Another issue we have also for visa is not done yet, finished yet, is J1, because we bring teachers on 2 types of visa. H-1B, which is an employment visa. H-1B is a 3-year visa, you can renew it another 3 years, it's employment. But if a teacher comes here on H-1B, their wife can work, will be on H-4, they cannot work. But it's easier to transform into green card and so on. Now the other type of visa is J1, which is an exchange visa, exchange teacher. As its name indicates, normally those teachers, once they're done, they need to go back home. You're not supposed to turn their visa into H-1B or green card. They're supposed to go home.
They're supposed to come in.
So, and if you transform them, because we have some issue with one of our sponsors, because 3 of our teachers to transform from J1 to H1B, they're not happy. If we do it again, they may sever a tie with us. Yeah. That's what the issue is. So which means that the visa J1 could last all the way to 5 years. Normally, it's 1 year renewable every year, but it can be up to 3 years. After 3 years, you need to ask for the extension, 2 more years of extension, a maximum of 5 years, and the teacher needs to go back home.
And the J1 doesn't have the $100,000
No,
requirement. It's
I
only-
don't have it,
Yeah.
but if you come on a J1, your dependent will be on J2, they can apply for work permit and they can work
On the joint, they can do
on J1. But after 3 years, they may have to go home. And another issue of J1 is, if you come from certain countries, the government will put the clause 212. Clause 212 is the teacher needs to go home at the end and they cannot change status, meaning no matter what, the teacher cannot go from J1 to H1B without going back home for 2 years. They need to stay home for 2 years, so that's the complexity of the visa.
Yeah.
Okay, but what's happening is the federal government is trying to take it from 5 years to 4 years now, and then requiring certain things. And it was a whole mobilization because it's touching colleges, F1, all those things. So people have submitted comment. We don't know if it's going to make or no, but probably it's going to go from 5 to 4 years. And those kind of issues will happen. So that's where we are. I think the teachers we already have here in the country will not be affected by the $100,000.
Yeah.
If you're taking others would be problematic. Now, it would be good to start hiring now before it came to effect. And wait, but anyway, it's going to be extremely challenging to hire and keep them here.
All right. We do have a closed session. We have a couple of items that we need to inform you of. So I think we need to take a roll call vote to go into closed session. And then
legal matters.
For legal matters, thank you. And then I think we'll take a 5-minute bio break and let others clear the room. So if I can get a roll call vote to go into closed session for legal matters, I'll start with online. Jen?
Yes.
Crystal? Crystal? All right, skipping. Colleen?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Nathaniel?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Michelle, yes?
Olivier, yes?
Pam, yes.
Kelly, yes.
Brad, yes.
Maria, yes.
All right.